Turkish law enforcement revealed they made a surprising discovery. They received a tip that an ancient Hebrew Bible had been discovered, and were told that it was worth $1 million. The book was being sold on underground markets after it was found at an undisclosed location, although officials soon reported that it had been taken from a museum. The museum which was holding the book said that the artifact is priceless, and said that although $1 million sounds like a huge amount of money, something like this is irreplaceable and priceless. The Bible was then taken into Turkey where it was allegedly going to be sold, but officials soon got wind of this, and an operation conducted by Turkey's anti-smuggling and organised crime branch discovered and retrieved the Bible. The incredible relic is said to be written in Hebrew, and the book itself was made from the skin of a gazelle. This is where things get interesting. Those who've seen the book have stated that it dates back to the time of the Virgin Mary and details the life of Jesus' mother. At first it was theorized that the book may be older than the Bible, but scholars believe that it could be an authentic 11th century edition, saying that it could provide us with more details about some of the events that we're already aware of, and that further studies should be conducted in order to better understand where this book fits in. It's reported that when the news story broke, the Vatican wanted to examine the book in order to better understand its contents, but as of right now it's not known if the book ever made it to the Vatican, or if someone from the Vatican inspected it. It's known that the Vatican is sensitive when it comes to newly discovered historical artifacts, especially those that detail the Bible, and it's said on a number of occasions they've refused to believe certain aspects of new information that have come to the surface. As some have noted, this shows us that there's other Bibles and other interpretations out there that are waiting to be discovered, and that these new editions can help us better understand what was going on during this era. One historical expert said the following on social media: "This isn't the first time and won't be the last time that a discovery like this is made, but one of the biggest issues that we have is working out whether these written accounts are genuine, or whether they're recreations of a story that someone has heard. It's a good indication though when you see these old books and parchments in the shape they're in, and in many cases these books have a lot of coincidences with early or later works, and it's for this reason that more investigations need to be carried out. One of the reasons why historians don't like it when these artifacts go to private markets is because we don't know the history of the object, or where it was discovered, meaning that we can't conduct further research into the area. If we know the specific place where the artifact was found, it means we can carry out further investigations, and most of the time where there's one artifact there's likely to be more. As a result of this, history suffers when we can't uncover the truth about these objects and where they came from." The Vatican Secret Archives was renamed the Vatican Apostolic Archives. The archives belonging to the Catholic Church are the property of the Pope, although from 1881, Catholic scholars over the age of 75 may be granted permission to access them. The lack of public availability, coupled with centuries of documents, has led to the speculation and mystery surrounding the Pope, the Catholic Church and the archives themselves. Bestseller book and Hollywood movie The Da Vinci Code, written by Dan Brown, sparked a number of ideas and theories surrounding the Vatican. Despite the claims that were made, the Catholic Church has heavily refuted them. Brown's work claimed that Jesus Christ had married Mary Magdalene and had children with her, creating a traceable bloodline, with potential descendants that might be alive today. Since the Da Vinci Code made such claims surrounding Jesus and the Church, conjecture grew, and popular theories now suggest that the true bloodline of Jesus Christ is concealed within the Vatican archives. One piece of supposed evidence for the theory is that Jesus had a wife and children, and subsequent descendants alive today, is that there's little known about Christ between his birth and early childhood, and then the years before his death in his early 30s. The focus of Christ's life within the Bible is largely on his birth, and work leading to his crucifixion, hence the Christmas and Easter celebrations. But what was Jesus doing in the other 20 years of his life? This is the question that many have begun asking. Marrying, having children, and creating a family is a probable assumption. The Bible states Mary of Magdala was a follower and a traveller with Jesus. However, others have suggested that the relationship to one another was more intimate, and that they may have married. Others believe that there's a variety of documents and artifacts that have been held within the Vatican. Documentation of Jesus' bloodline potentially being held within the Vatican is a relatively common theory, but the form of this documentation is also in debate. Some believe messages and letters between St. Paul and Emperor Nero contain first-person accounts surrounding Jesus' life, including a written record of his bloodline. Others believe individuals who have seen Jesus personally and had drawn portraits of Jesus, and these are contained within the Vatican archives. The earliest publicly known portraits of Jesus were created around 200 years after his death. Why does the Catholic Church need to protect the knowledge surrounding the bloodline of Jesus, if it is indeed contained within the Vatican archives? The answer here is likely rather simple. Evidence of Jesus' bloodline has the potential to contradict the teachings of the Church, and therefore undermine Holy Scripture. The implications of Jesus having descendants is a complicated thought. If the relatives of Christ and therefore the relatives of God were alive and accessible, then the role of the Pope would be far less significant. However, realistically, after tracing a bloodline for hundreds of generations, the vast majority of people would be related. Tracing a bloodline back for only 20 generations could find up to 1 million relatives, and with the ever-increasing population, locating the closest descendant would be an ever-challenging task. Interestingly, historians have said that we do have documented evidence of Jesus' childhood. The hidden gospel of Jesus' childhood. The story of Jesus Christ according to the Bible is a familiar one that has been told many times, but many people are unaware of the set of documents known as the Gnostic Gospels, which were compiled by the Gnostic people and first uncovered in 1945 in the lower Nile Valley. Many documents were uncovered through the following decades, and there are now 52 identified texts comprising 13 books of extra biblical stories and teachings that are different from what is contained in the New Testament. Although many Christians doubt the provenance of these documents, and don't consider them to be sacred religious texts in the same way the books of the Bible are, others believe they offer an incredibly valuable insight into what the world looked like as Christianity began to emerge. One of these texts is a shocking account called the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, which dates back to the 2nd century and provides what many Christians believe to be a heretical account of the childhood and youth of Jesus Christ, from ages 5 to 12. When reading the content of this Infancy Gospel of Thomas, it's easy to see why Christians view it as heretical, as the Jesus portrayed in its pages bear little to no resemblance to the loving, gracious Son of God. In these texts, young Jesus is precocious and often vindictive as he exerts his power and authority on the people around him, and slowly learns to use his influence for good. If the Vatican Archives holds documentation of Jesus' bloodline, how updated is it? And with such a vast number of descendants, do you think the bloodline could be traced through to modern society? Another interesting book is the Greek magical Papari, which is a body of papyri dating back to the Greco-Roman Egypt. The papyri is written mainly in ancient Greek. However, other languages are included in the text, such as Coptic and Egyptian Demotic. Physical analysis of the papyrus pages has shown that the materials used to create it can be traced back between 100 BCE to 400 CE. The content of the scripture contains ancient hymns, instructions for complex rituals, formulas and many mysterious spells. The Greek magical papyri wasn't created in its entirety, and instead was slowly added to over the passage of time. This has sparked debates over the nature of the manuscript's production. H.D. Betts, an English translator of the book, has suggested that the magical aspects of the manuscript were authentically written in ancient Roman times, and that the book itself is forbidden knowledge, underground literature, hidden from plain sight to protect it from the mass book burnings. Evidence of book burnings occurring at this period in history do exist, such as during the Act of the Apostles, when Emperor Augustus ordered for all magical books to be burned and destroyed, though it was speculated that these books were specifically early Christian texts. Scholar Frankfurter argued that these texts were written by innovative members of the Egyptian priesthood during the 3rd or 4th century decline of the Egyptian temple infrastructure, and therefore were not forbidden texts. The book was discovered once again during the 18th century during an antiques trade, and from that point onwards news and rumours of this elusive text spread through contemporary scholarly circles. It was only during the early 19th century that the very first volume of the Papari was sold at an art market in Egypt. The next known volume of the text was brought by a French diplomat. The scripture ended up in France. The texts were then sold to European collectors, with the volume spreading out across the world from the Louvre to the British Museum, and to other various public and private collectors. Once put together, the book seems to be a guide for magicians, wise women and magic users. Spells, advanced knowledge, secrets of the ancient gods, formulas, and even what appears to be a guide for magicians on the go are all included within the sacred pages. The rituals included are both light and dark, from summoning demons and deities to simple folk remedies. The mysterious Greek magical Papari has it all. So what do you make of these interesting discoveries? And what do you make of this ancient Bible that was rediscovered? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.